getting cold ready for the NFL draft. We're watching Sons of UCF live.
Go Knights. All right, John.
Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trey Strelka. Welcome to the Sons of UCF Live. A big welcome to Adam and the next president of the NCAA UCF. My gentlemen, you are on the clock.
I'm the president, or Mike's the president?
Mike is the next president.
Mike shouldn't be president of anything. Let's just get that out of the way right now. But by the way, Trace, that's how you do a mustache. Cole Schneider with a mustache shaming class, unfortunately. That's how you do a mustache.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could grow one myself, but president of the NCAA, I think I can't do any worse than what's been going on the last 30 years, right?
I set you up with this one. I would love your fresh ideas, since you're all about preseason rankings, all about all the accolades that come for the players, and of course you're all about the NFL draft. We're going head to head with the NFL draft. Mike, with one eye on the draft and one eye on Unite Nation.
I will look tomorrow morning to see who got drafted where, not recognize any of the names, and then say, oh, okay, and then move on with my life.
That sums it up, right? My big question that I asked on Twitter: how many UCF football players get selected in the NFL draft? And overwhelming answer, 50% with one. Mike, does that sound about right?
We haven't had a year where nobody's gotten drafted since 2016, and then before that was 2005, following the 2 years where we didn't win a game. I want to say somebody gets drafted this weekend. I don't know. I'm not sure. Hopefully one, maybe two, but there's a good chance there may not be any.
You'd think that if it's one, it's Kalia Davis, but if it's a second, who do you think that person is?
Big Cat Bryant, and maybe the guy that opened the show for us tonight, Cole Schneider. Yeah, Kalia Davis is an interesting one. You'd think he'd be a no-brainer, but coming off the injury, that's going to raise some question marks. Is he able to recover from that? How does that affect his draft stock is yet to be seen.
Yeah, I think the team's going to have to take a chance on him. Welcome back, Adam. We were just talking about how many UCF players you think will get drafted. The poll showed 50% saying one. Are you at one even, or more than one, perhaps?
I'm at one. Sorry, I had to get the Jaguars call. They wanted my input on the pick. I had to take
They're still deciding.
They don't know what they're doing here. I'm hearing Jags. They don't know what they're doing here. Yeah, I got one. I think Kalia Davis is my choice. I think you've got a late option for maybe an offensive lineman, a Cole Schneider, a Marcus Tatum, maybe sneak in there late because line depth is always at a premium in the league. But I say Kalia Davis seems to be the one who's gotten the most publicity, the most love. Maybe an outside chance for an lineman. Maybe an outside chance for our friend Big Cat Bryant. But I think one's probably the safe answer.
Yeah, day 3 selection, if it is in fact for Kalia. Today, the NFL announcing some notable names that are going to be making selections for the teams. And Shaquem Griffin is going to announce the Seahawks' 3rd round pick on Friday. Just a few years ago, of course, Shaquem getting drafted in the NFL, and now he's introducing other people being drafted.
Yeah, it kind of bums me out because I hope this does not mean that his NFL career is coming to an end, right? Typically, you wouldn't be a part of this. So hopefully this doesn't mean that he feels like maybe he's not getting a shot or he's got a chance to play still. So, but good to see Shaquem and any former Knight at the draft, frankly.
I mean, 3 years is the average NFL lifespan, isn't it? So I hope he gets another shot somewhere, but it's tough to stay in that league long.
Doing well, Zachary Whitfield. Thank you for asking. Other news this week, coming in just the last 24 hours or so. FanDuel announcing what has been speculated, the UCF Cincinnati Houston to join the Big 12 for the 2023-24 academic year. Big 12 meetings next week may sort some of this out a little bit more. Mike, I saw some comments. Well, you've made quite a few comments on Twitter over the last day, but you're skeptical as I that if it is in fact UCF in with Oklahoma and Texas for 1 or 2 seasons, that we are definitely guaranteed a game against one of these or both of these teams in the bounce house. I'm skeptical of that.
Yeah, I don't think these teams are sticking around for 2 years. And I'll be surprised if they even stick around for 1. We're going to find out in the next couple of months. I think by January or by July 1st, we need to know for sure. But I'd be shocked if Texas and Oklahoma stick around for 2 more years. Maybe 1 more year, they get that buyout money a little lower, and then they're out of there. And then that 1 year that we have them doesn't guarantee they're coming to Orlando.
Yeah, and I agree. And they're going to the SEC, don't forget, right? That's a conference that's flush with cash. They have TV deals out the wazoo. I have a feeling that there's a way for people in back channels to work that kind of stuff out. I don't know if I agree that if they are in the league, though, I could see the Big 12 sticking it to them and making them do a bunch of road games. So maybe getting one of them at UCF, but I don't think that they're going to be around much longer. I think the SEC and the power brokers that be will figure out a way to make that work. It's really within everyone's best interest of college football, right? They want to get started on the new thing. So my suspicion is that they weasel their way out of the Big 12 or even earlier than they expected.
Do you want to see divisions or one big 14-team scrum for the title?
I'm pro division. I think that makes it a little bit more fun. I think when you play these crossover opponents every year and you're not really sure who's on your schedule, I think you can't build natural rivalries. You can't really kind of build some hatred for other fan bases and some of the fun that comes with that. So give me divisions versus sort of a 14 team all in, let's see who wins kind of deal. I think that's a little bit better for all if you can do divisions.
I like divisions. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to stick with no divisions. They're going to go to 9 conference games and put the best 2 teams in. This way it kind of gives them a better chance of putting the team in the 14 playoff. I think that's the way they're going to go. I like divisions because Adam said the rivalries, all that stuff. But if you're more regionalized with teams on our side, or with West Virginia and Cincinnati, teams we have history with. But I think they're going to stick with the way they've been doing it in the Big 12 the last few years. There's no divisions, 9-team conference games.
I'll tell you what, I'm not a big fan of the 9 conference game schedule. It gives you that disbalance, right? You're going to have 1 with 4 at home, 5 on the road. What if that's your good year and then you got to do an extra road game? I wish they'd just keep it simple at 8, but it does help solve some of UCF's scheduling challenges in the years ahead if they know they have 9 games that they've already got locked in.
Yeah, I prefer 8 too. I think just the oddity of a 9, right? The number doesn't make sense, but I understand why that's an extra data point from a college football playoff committee standpoint, especially if you have a strong conference and you win out in your conference and that gives you maybe one less quote unquote weaker opponent. So I get the data point element of it, but I think it's fun to be able to find, new opponents to play each year and, the strategy around that. Obviously, to your point, Trace, it's probably in our advantage to not have to think about that right now, but I think 8 is probably the right number in terms of conference games.
You go back to me being president of the NCAA. One of the things that would change right away.
When you apply for the position, if it's posted on LinkedIn or something, will you submit an application and your resume?
Sure, of course. And one of the first things I do is redo all the schedules. I'd make the NCAA come out with the schedules for every team in the country and not have these teams schedule their own out-of-conference games and try to balance things that way. And, of course, realign all the conferences, too, would be my other thing.
What about watch lists? Do watch lists stay if you're the president of the NCAA?
I mean, that's just things that are out of my control. The media is going to do what they want to do. I don't know why people bother with the watch list. I don't know why people bother mock drafts and grades after the draft and all these things that these people, the nerds eat it up. They read it, I guess. I don't know. But I do away with.
Wait, as NCAA commissioner, you're going to get rid of the NFL draft? I don't understand what just happened there.
Yeah. Put me in charge of the NFL, too. I'll figure out everything.
Well, the NCAA is the NFL's minor league, so perhaps that would be overlapping constituencies for you. So it'll be interesting to see what Big 12 meetings, what may shake out of that, what real news may come from it. Of course, Commissioner Bob Bowlesby announcing that he'd be stepping down, retiring, so search on for a commissioner. So certainly you can see the pages being turned here into a new era for the Big 12. And it's just exciting that UCF is a part of it and not watching from the outside, of course.
Yeah, I mean, this is a moment we've all been thinking about for a long time, getting into that quote unquote Power 5 group. And, now that we have suspicions, I think we all kind of hoped and thought this is where it was trending. Really, if you think about the way this all kind of broke, Trace, I think it was FanDuel and John Rothstein, and then Ross Dellinger followed up quickly and said, UCF, 23-24. Probably about 20 minutes later, Oresco had a statement saying, well, hold on, everything's not finalized yet, which tells you where the leak came from, frankly, right? There are still some dollars to figure out and some commas to put in different places on checks, but I think that we're now at the precipice of understanding what that looks like. We've all been waiting for this time period. I think it's kind of an odd, space. We're kind of in this purgatory, right, where we're halfway out of the American, halfway in the Big 12. So I think the sooner we can land that, the better. And the easier it is we can get started. We've all been speculating on what our life will be like in the Big 12. I think we're all on the same page. Let's just hurry up and get there at this point.
I love how this qualifies as news. We've been saying this since the day it was announced that the Big 12, that UCF is going to try to get out of there after 1 year. I think everybody knew that already. Now they're coming out with this. maybe because they see the finish line in the next week and they want to act like they're ahead of the story. But this is not news. We knew all along that we were planning on one more season in the American, and we're getting out.
Mike, it's the silly season. We've got to speculate and chew on this stuff, and we'll be talking about conference realignment and expansion and all those sorts of things. This is the time for that. But you want real news. Of course, real news is that the transfer portal remains busy, in and out, of course. UCF, an area where they don't have much depth at all at linebacker. They lose Kadeem Leonard, who enters the portal, but they get a UAB player, Alabama Birmingham, Chris Mull. So 1 for 1 there, but with on the heels of Cole Joyce a week or so ago entering the portal, you get the sense that in an area where there's need, not a lot of depth, maybe Cole Joyce, Kadeem Leonard, maybe the conversations were, you may not fit into our future plans here.
Yeah, I have to assume that's kind of those conversations, right? I'm sure they're looking at the depth and recognizing there's opportunities and going to coaches and saying, hey, what about me? Clearly they got their answer that they weren't in the cards or that they were going to be looking in the portal still. So, but Chris Mull's interesting. I mean, he had a really good career at wherever he was.
UAB.
That's what I said. And, you know, he was in the portal. He had a broken hand for a while. And I think some schools were thinking about picking him up. But he was basically this is his last year of eligibility. On paper, he's got a really good resume. So I'm curious to see what he brings. Tad undersized from a height standpoint, but definitely has some bona fides from his stats at UAB. So we'll see how that translates. But he seems like a really nice pickup this late in the game from a portal standpoint.
Yeah, T-Will's going to have his work cut out for him with that linebacker position. I don't know what we have there right now. We're kind of grabbing at scraps right now. We've got the guy from UAB.
Hello. Welcome the new guy. Jeez. Wow.
I mean, let's call it what it is.
Well, he's not going to be a guest on a future Sons of UCF Live after hearing that. That's for darn sure.
We're getting transfers like Big Cat Bryant from Auburn. We're getting guys from big SEC schools. Now we're getting guys from UAB. UAB is a nice program. They've bounced back pretty well since they restarted the program. But I mean, are you guys getting excited over this signing, or it's just another guy to add depth, I guess?
At this point, with the numbers the way they are, anybody they bring in, I'm excited about. It's sort of like, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, men's basketball transfers. You bring somebody in, I'm very glad when they're just down to 3 or 4 players. When you're talking about Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste and who else, I think it's good to add him. And this is an experienced guy. He'll get here later, of course, Mrs. Spring Camp, but hopefully he can integrate in fairly quickly as an experienced guy.
Well, I think at this relative part of the season, yeah, I am excited to get him based on his experience, based on what he brings to the team. I mean, if this was the third string linebacker from Washington, then maybe this wouldn't be such a big deal. But this kid has some bona fides on paper. So this late in the game, with how thin we are at the position, I mean, excited is a relative term. I'm not running around my house shirtless or anything, but it is definitely a nice signing this late.
We thank you. We thank you for that.
I could, if you guys need me to. But this late in the game, it's a nice signing. I think it definitely could be a lot worse, and it could be a lot of players that we go, who's that guy? At least we know who this person is, and he brings a good resume to the table.
All right, so it's similar to maybe like a Ricky Barber, right? Coming over from Western Kentucky, smaller school, but a little nice resume on his hands. What's
nice about a seasoned coach like Gus Malzahn is that he knows how to bring guys back too. You see that the program has been very welcoming. The recent alumni golf tournament, more than 100 former football players participating in that. And then this week he announces Clayton Geathers returning, assistant director of personnel and a defensive back assistant. One of the great Knights, and it's good to have him back in the fold.
Yeah, anytime Mike and I talk about this all the time, we could build a fantastic coaching staff with some of the former Knights that are out there in the coaching ranks. And obviously Clayton had a great NFL career. I know he was still kind of bouncing around in some camps the last couple of years. So obviously signals that he's ready to maybe hang him up. But it's always good to bring a former Knight back. So I think it's good for the current players to recognize there are paths forward to the NFL draft. We're watching that tonight. It's on TV right now. So they can have someone in their building, in their locker room that can talk about what it takes to get there, can give them some examples, and they have someone to kind of look up to as well. And we have a really young secondary, a young, exciting secondary that we think can really do a lot of great things. Who better than one of the all-time UCF legends to help school them and what that looks like? So I think it's a really nice hire. I think it continues to bridge the gap. We lost Kareem Reed to Florida this offseason. He was kind of one of our alumni, if you will, in the locker room. So to replace that with Clayton Geathers, I like the way that Gus thinks about his coaching staff from a chess piece standpoint.
not only guys that have been here, but guys that were here for winning times, championship teams, Geathers played on those teams. That's what you want, to be able to pass that down to the younger guys, what is expected here and how we do things in Orlando at UCF.
So, Mike, I was thinking about how do we pass the time until summer camp, fall preseason camp begins. We've got weeks and weeks of this that we've got to talk football and think about things. What's the content? And I thought, how can I trot out position breakdowns, but in a different way? And so I thought, how do we talk about the depth chart as we see it coming out of spring, which I think is a worthy consideration. So, especially since there's some controversy with the quarterback position, a little bit of a battle there. Ask each of you, who do you think's QB1 coming out of this spring camp in Gus Malzahn's mind and the coaching staff? Do you think it's Mikey Keene still, or have we seen enough from John Rice Plumlee that he has emerged as one? Because Gus says that he doesn't want to drag this on in preseason camp. He wants a decision fairly quickly, which to me means they have a good indication of that now.
I have no inside info. I'm not saying this is how I'm rooting or what I think is going to happen, but you're asking me to get in Gus Malzahn's head here. My QB depth chart goes as follows. Number 3, Thomas Castellanos.
We're in agreement.
Number 2, Mikey Keene. Number 1, John Rice Plumlee.
There you go. Bingo board right there.
Have you seen this kid, Cone Kohler, throw the football? The preferred walk-on?
I don't think he's emerging. He
was in an empty field house with nobody rushing him in shorts, throwing to Adrian Killens. I mean, I think good arm, don't get me wrong, but he was left-handed, brings back bad vibes.
He looks good.
Careful attacking left-handers.
I will say this about the quarterbacks. I think we're in good hands with both of them. I think we can win both guys. But as it stands right now, maybe not in Gus Malzahn's eyes, in my eyes.
No, we're asking you to channel your inner Gus Malzahn.
Mikey Keene has done it with the lights on. He did it against the Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl. He has the resume. Plumlee had a very nice spring game. You know what the spring game is? Like the SAT. It's a one afternoon. You had a good day. Give me the body of work. Give me the whole season last year. I like where Mikey was developing. I love the way he says green. He's my guy until further notice.
Is it because you don't have a good nickname for John Rice Plumlee yet? Something that you could trademark and put on a T-shirt?
Possibly. And also maybe I'm just favoring another Mikey. I don't know. But he gets a lot of credit in my eyes for the way he handled the last season, coming in, not expecting to play, held down the fort, winning season, beat the Gators in the bowl game. That's a big win under his belt. So I got to give it to him for now.
Adam, I break the tie. I go with you. I've been pretty consistent about this on Twitter. The day they announced John Rice Plumlee, I said QB1, much to the chagrin of many. And so I'm sticking with him.
Yeah, I don't think he came here to sit the bench. I don't think that Gus brought him here to sort of back up and school Mikey Keene. He doesn't offer that kind of context. I think he brought him here to obviously to play. And, again, we did the comparisons a few weeks ago on the show. We talked about, how do you measure these guys up? I think if Plumlee can throw the ball as well as he did, he's got an edge to Mikey Keene in passing. Really, at that point, it just boils down to who knows the playbook better, who can protect the ball better. And I think Gus is going to give the nod to the exciting playmaker. That's what he's done. I'm not calling Plumlee the next Cam Newton, but you've seen the way that Gus likes to use the quarterback. I think Plumlee fits a little bit more of that traditional Gus Malzahn quarterback. So I just lean that way because I think Gus brought him here for a reason.
Adam, Jacksonville has made its selection.
They have. As Mike was telling me off air, he expected this pick, and he was calling it all the way. Trayvon Walker from Georgia, number 1 overall pick.
The pick is in. Lions are on the clock. Keep us posted.
Lions should select an actual lion because I think that's probably the only chance they have here.
Going to be a busy weekend out at UCF. Baseball home in a very big series with Tulane both tied atop the AAC. Softball back home. Knights are 39-11, top 20 in all the rankings, great in the RPI, 11-1 in the AAC. And who has really powered things for them and who is in a quest to be the all-time RBI leader with the Knights softball program is Jada Cody. We welcome her into the Sons of UCF Live. Jada, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. And I'll tell you what, 344 average is an impressive number, 11 home runs. But I got to think that for you, 39 wins, this team almost on 40. Is that the number that you're happiest about this season?
Yes, most definitely. All of our hard work definitely has been showing on and off the field. So it definitely is important just knowing that our winning streak is up there, and we're definitely trying to top 40 this year.
Jade, obviously you're having a fantastic season at the plate, RBIs, home runs, batting average. So naturally, I'm going to start with your play in the field. You play a multitude of positions in the field. How do you stay prepared and ready to play different roles on the field? How do you keep yourself ready? One night you may be catching, the next night you're at third base. What do you have to do specifically to keep yourself ready? Because you're going to play multiple positions throughout the week.
I think just like the days and the weeks, like preparing for each game is just knowing that like each position, I just need to know like everything about each position each week for like the different teams. Like just knowing that and having that perspective. And I feel like each position kind of plays like a part for each other. So like catching kind of just leads into third base, and then third base leads into outfield. So just like having that mindset. And then just to help with my teammates and my coaches definitely has helped me out a lot this year, just playing different roles.
How far in advance do you know where you're playing? You mentioned you want to know the scouting reports. You show up to the ballpark that day and say, hey, I'm catching today? Or you kind of know a week in advance, I'm playing third on Tuesday, or how does it work?
I probably know 20 minutes before the game where I'm playing. If G's pitching, I know I'm catching, but anything else, I don't know if I'm playing that position, unless it's like 20 minutes before the game.
Seniors being recognized this weekend. You just mentioned one of them, pitcher Gianna Mancha. You catch for her. What is it like to play with her?
I think it's just a different mindset. She's just a fierce leader out on the mound. So it definitely has helped me grow, knowing that she's older than me and like helps me lead too. So it definitely is important to value her. And I'm definitely like walk into her legacy that she leads after she leaves this year.
All right, let's get back to your approach at the plate here. Obviously, you put on a fantastic season thus far. Have you changed anything from last year? Have you done anything different in terms of your approach as you get at bats? Is there anything that you've kind of honed in on that you think has helped propel you to the season you've had so far?
Just knowing that I've been putting in like all the work and just having all the confidence that I need, and having my teammates and my coaching staff for like their support definitely has helped me. And my coach Bear preaches about just like knowing that the pitcher has all the pressure when I'm up to plate, and that definitely has helped me be successful at the plate. So just knowing that and having that aspect has definitely helped me.
You caught fire earlier in this year. It was kind of put you.
Yeah, Mike's so moved by your play, he can't even talk to himself.
Mike, we lost your audio there for a second. Restart your question there, buddy. Is that a no?
We lost Mike again.
We lost Mike again. I will ask you though, the quest on the RBIs here. Have you had opportunity to ever have conversation with Stephanie Best, who is the career leader in RBIs at UCF?
Yes, I definitely have. When I hit 50, she reached out to me, and just like giving me the confidence that she wants me to beat her record, and just having that support system, because I trained with her during COVID and just like trained in her facility. I just built a bond with her. So she definitely reached out to me and told me that she wants me to beat her record. So just having that confidence and like that support system is definitely important.
What's it like to be a player and see the connection that former players still have with the program?
I think it's big for the program. I think the program is on a great path right now, and just like connecting with alumni. Alumni weekend was just great for our program. Just giving back to who started the program for us, and like just leading from there is definitely important for us.
Jed, you have your team, frankly, has had a ton of walk-off wins this season. Where's that mentality come from? Do you all literally believe that you are not out until the last out? I mean, how do you explain the continuation of all the walk-off wins you've had this year?
It definitely starts with practice. We put ourselves in those situations all the time. So when it comes to games, it's just an easy thing to put ourselves into. So like we know that it's not over until the last pitch is thrown. So just having that mindset and knowing that 1 through 22 on our team can walk off anytime. So just having that mindset and having the support system that it's 22 on 1. So it's us 22 versus the pitcher, knowing that and having that mindset has definitely helped us this year.
Not many teams have been very successful in getting you out this year. Give us a scouting report on you as a hitter. What do you like to see? Are you a fastball hitter? You like to hit the junk? Well, how would you pitch to yourself if you were trying to get yourself out?
I like inside pitches and low pitches. That's like my go-to pitch will be a low pitch, a low inside pitch. If someone wants to get me out, I feel like a rise ball will probably be the one to get me out.
Mike, why did you give this away?
Oh, no.
I mean, Tulsa
Or
might be
is
watching.
she telling the truth?
JD, earlier you mentioned Coach Bear. I've had opportunity to talk with her. Her personality is just infectious. She surrounds her family around with the team. What is it like to learn from her?
I look up to Coach Bear a lot. Just the leader she is, the woman she is, how strong she is. So I definitely look up to her a lot. And I just value everything that she does for the program. She puts us first, and it's just important to know that she looks at us like as a person before a softball player. So like just having that and knowing that she has our back through everything is definitely has helped me grow as a player and especially as a person.
All right, Jade, I was reading your bio, and so let's get to know you a little bit. I have 3 things I need to learn more about. So number 1, I read that your nickname growing up was Ladybug. Can you explain why you were Ladybug?
I really don't know. I think it just caught on. My mom used to call me her Ladybug, and still to this day. But I don't think there's like a specific reason on me being called Ladybug.
All right. In your spare time, I read that you like to paint. Are those paintings behind you? Are those Jada Cody originals?
Yes, these are all Jada Cody originals.
Look at
Do you have
that.
do you have a favorite? That SpongeBob looks pretty legit. Do you have a favorite of all those?
Probably the sunset over here with the water.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to auction those off. And last one, I read that your go-to karaoke song is "Party in the USA" by Miley Cyrus. Would you like to sing a little now for us all, or do you want to save that for later?
I'll say that for later.
Okay. Do you have a number 2? If "Party in the USA" for some reason is not available, which would be a crime to humanity, by the way. If it's not available, do you have a second song you want to go to?
The Climb.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jada, I have 2 young daughters myself, age 8 and 10. They both play softball. We're at the parks 5 nights a week. What advice would you give them, or what advice do you wish you had back at their age that you could use now?
Just enjoying every moment. I think I just took moments for granted when I was younger, and just enjoying like the people that I was surrounded with and like all the support system, and knowing that they're there like through it all, through the failures and like the success. So like just knowing that, I think that's the biggest thing, and just like enjoying literally every moment is like my biggest thing that I wish I did when I was younger.
Jada, you represent UCF very well. We wish you all the best the rest of this season in that quest for Stephanie Best's record. We know you're going to get it, whether this be this weekend at home against Tulsa or coming up. Thanks so much for joining us on the Sons of UCF Live.
Thank you.
Good luck, Jada. All right, she's a good one. Going to have a good weekend against Tulsa. A little surprise, Adam billed it in the pre-show hype that we might have some surprises drop in. Let's see if we can welcome in Jonathan Adams, sports contributor at Heavy.com, who is at the NFL Draft in Las Vegas, covering for a couple of teams. Jonathan, we had just talked about earlier in the show that maybe 1, possibly 2 nights. We hope Kalia Davis, who's recovering from a knee injury, might be a night that gets drafted. What do you think?
Yeah, I do think he'll get drafted. I think obviously that injury. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
We hear you fine. We're glad you're here.
It looks like I'm going a little into like a portable or something, but I am at the draft, the layers. I do think that he'll get drafted, probably day 3, it looks like. I know Dane Brugler had a 4th or 5th round grade on him, so that would put him about early day 3. So I do think they'll be the first guy drafted. Obviously explosive, showed some flashes, and unfortunately just that injury kind of derailed the season for him. But seems like he's bounced back, and I know that there's a lot of interest from UCF fans on him, and I'm actually curious to see it because I think he's one of the guys with a lot of upside.
John, any other nights that you expect? Cole Schneider, Marcus Tatum, maybe Mackenzie Milton's name. Anybody else you expect to be called from UCF from the draft?
McKenzie's an interesting one. I haven't heard anything on him, but I definitely, obviously, we're all watching, hoping that he gets a chance. Cole, I believe, is more like probably a priority free agent, undrafted guy. Those are kind of the 2, Davis and Cole, I think that I've heard that seen the most about. But hopefully, I mean, the goal here, right? We were used to guys getting announced tonight. UCF fans kind of got spoiled there, so I'm hoping that Gus can kind of get the NFL caliber guys back into the program that obviously gives UCF a lot of brand recognition. So we'll see what happens in the next few years.
Obviously, the draft is a big draw for a lot of football fans. It's in Vegas this year. How many nerds are there tonight watching the draft?
Guys, I can't tell you the things I literally can't tell you the things I've seen in the last 24 hours, but there's like grown men with chains with logos. I saw some NFL draft sneakers, which I didn't even know existed. It's just interesting. It's kind of weird, right? Because you're just watching people announce guys' names. But I think obviously the NFL's made it a big party and an event. So it's a free event for fans to come to. It's fun to kind of hang out and just kind of be around other fans, and a part of the calendar that's not really football heavy. So, but it definitely has become such a big deal for what it actually is, right?
So having seen this now, if you weren't covering it, will you plan to go to another NFL draft, paint your face, put on the team colors, and hang out for the weekend?
Well, from a media standpoint, it's good because we get a lot of one-on-one interviews leading up to the draft, so that's always good for me. But yeah, I think it's a fun guys' weekend, depending on the city. The Nashville one was probably the best that I've been to, just with all the music and different opportunities there, and the draft's also happening. But I think it's cool, and if you can do the flights, if you can do the the hotel situation, and Vegas is fortunate to have a ton of hotels, so I think it's reasonable financially to do it. It's a fun thing, even though it seems like, why would anyone do this? Apparently a lot of people are here and want to be here, so it's a fun thing.
Well, we know you're busy. We appreciate you dropping in. We like that you got dressed up just for the Sons of UCF.
I thought, my normal Citronaut hat and hoodie, I just felt like tonight was a special occasion. I thought you guys would at least have like one of those tuxedo T-shirts, but maybe next time.
You were busy with the Jags selection. You missed Mike's disdain for this whole NFL draft night, so he's not a big fan.
I get that. I actually think I saw that your message. I guess my thing is people have fun with it. There's a lot of things that I don't really understand or personally enjoy, but like TikTok, for example, I probably should figure that out. People seem to enjoy it. Maybe you guys could give me tips if you any of the listeners and Knights fans, if you have TikTok tips for me, I'll take them. But yeah, I get that. It's kind of like old man get off my lawn though, a little bit, right? I mean,
I think that's the best way to end you being with us, to just call Mike out for that. That's exactly what it is.
Mike loves it. You guys are my day one. I love this show. I love you guys. You guys have been with me, rocking with me. So I love you guys, but it's all Mike. I'm just joking with you. Also, Mike looks like he could beat me up if we actually met in person, so I don't want to go too far on this whole.
A lot of people have that reaction until they actually meet Mike in person. We thank you. We know you're busy. We appreciate a couple of minutes that you've stolen away in a closet somewhere there in Las Vegas. Enjoy the rest of the draft, and let's see how the Jets and the Giants may screw things up in later.
Okay, if you don't hear from me, please send the search committee, but I think I'm okay. I think I can make it back. Right. But talk to you guys soon.
Jonathan Adams, sports contributor to Heavy.com, hopping on with us from the NFL draft. I like the comment earlier I saw scroll across the screen that big Sons of UCF budget, we ought to send Mike to the next NFL draft to give us the perspective. Mike, would you go on the Suns budget?
Where's the next one? Vegas would have been cool. I mean, I could have gone there, at least still had a good time. Where is it next year? I have no idea.
It's the patented Mike question we're not ready for. Don't have an answer for.
I mean,
maybe our next guest knows, Trace. I have no idea.
To Green Bay or something. No, I don't really want to go. But if it was Vegas, a cool city where I can have a good time, it's possible.
We will effort that information. I liked, Adam, you on Twitter today, finding those little things in head coach Greg Lovelady's office that you pulled out and that you thought were interesting during my one-on-one interview with him this week.
Kansas City, Missouri, Mike. It's your next draft stop. So we may have to roll you over to 2024. Yeah, look, I enjoy your conversations with Coach Lovelady, and obviously that's available on our YouTube channel if you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. He's pretty honest, pretty upfront about what he wants to see. I think he comes across very down to earth. You get a lot of coach speak from a lot of folks that you talk to, Trace, and Lovelady just seems like he gives you kind of the real deal, the straight information. So I always enjoy those chats. And if you haven't checked them out, they're worth the price alone for all the stuff on Lovelady's desk. I mean, there's 3 like drinking apparatuses there. There's randomly like a pre-workout supplement behind him. And then Trace, I noticed, and I need you to ask this important follow-up. during the first part of the conversation, he has a screw and a bolt, and he's tightening the bolt on the screw like back and forth, back and forth. Then he puts it down on the desk for the rest of the interview. I need more details on that. Is that like a fidget thing? Is that a superstition? Maybe our next guest knows that too. I don't know, but I need more updates on the bolt and the screw.
Well, before we bring Steven in, Coach Lovelady and I talked about an important series this weekend. They're tied for first with one of those teams being Tulane that come to town Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I asked Coach Lovelady, give us the scouting report on the Green Wave.
Be super offensive. They got a lot of. They lead the league in doubles. They've hit a ton of doubles. They hit a bunch of home runs too. But they got some guys that have to have experience. They got a couple young guys that are really playing really, really well. But they bang the ball around the ballpark. And so we got to be able to again minimize the big innings. We got to try to pitch to our strengths, but also know what they're looking for and how they're going to try to do things offensively. But it's not going to be station to station. They're going to look to bang the ball around the ballpark.
Well, let's talk about that more with Steven Branca. He covers the Knights on the ESPN Plus broadcasts, and he joins us now. Any insight on this screw and bolt thing, though, before we get into the scouting report?
I know nothing about that. That could just be his form of one of those fidget spinners or something like that. That might be his ADD cure. I'm not sure. Haven't seen it before, but it could be a new thing for him.
Gotcha. Let's talk about what happened against Wichita State. Trotted out the same pitcher on Friday and Sunday to start. Very unusual. However, the Knights do pull out the 3-game sweep.
Yeah, I think with this offense that you're going to see this upcoming weekend, you might see something similar. Like Coach Lovelady said, they're going to try to avoid getting through the lineup multiple times with the same arm on the mound. Some of these offenses, the adjustments that they're able to make has been tremendous. And we've seen that in the past. ECU, the second time through the order, didn't matter who was on the mound, they were hitting. And so I think that's something that they've learned, that, hey, we gotta change it up. And even if it's the same guy on the mound all 3 games, who cares? If he gets one time through the order, could get us 6 to 9 outs, then it's a success, and just move on to the next guy. Just keep winning pitches. And that's something that they like to focus on, is winning every pitch. And I think they may have gotten away from that a little bit, trying to look at big picture. And it looks like this past weekend they got back to it.
Again, we had a really tough weekend against ECU, but bouncing back, getting 3 against Wichita, what does that do as a player to their psyches? Kind of seeing some wins get on the column, winning 3 in a row, 3 in conference. What do you think that does to the psyche of the players?
Yeah, it helps a ton. It's just confidence, right? It just builds up. It's just like when you get your first hit. They're contagious. They just keep coming after that. So especially getting 3 wins on the road against a pretty good team, now you feel pretty good going into the Tulane at the top of the conference right now at home. You should feel pretty good about it. And so it gives you a lot of confidence. And some of those guys at the bottom of the order who've been scuffling, and some of those guys who weren't getting a ton of playing time, like a Trent Taylor, to get that confidence and get them rolling going into a series like this, it's huge. I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, huge weekend last weekend. Back tied for first place now in the conference, but no weekday game this week. How does that hurt or help momentum? Does it help us heal up a little bit, or does it kind of slow things down not playing during the week this week?
I think it helps. I think it helps with travel, as I know all too well, is something that'll wear you out, wear you down. Gives the guys a chance to rest, gives the guys a chance to not have to hop on another bus or show up to the field and play another game before they got a very important weekend series coming up. So it allows those guys that pitched on Sunday to be fully recovered without having to throw again in a midweek game. It just allows you to go in with all of your ponies. And that's why I really think on the mound, you're going to see just about every arm that they have this weekend, because they're just going to keep switching it up. They're going to keep throwing different arms every other inning, basically, is what I would do, unless somebody's going out there mowing them down. Connor Stain comes back, or whoever it is, and he's got a no-hitter or something. But they're not going to take any chances at this point. It really worked this past weekend, kind of switching things up and keeping the offense on their heels. And so it was pretty fun to watch.
You mentioned Connor Stain right there, been battling the blister. I'd asked Coach Lovelady when we stopped recording, does he have a sense of his pitching rotation this weekend? He said still trying to figure out maybe 50-50 on Connor. I know they don't want to rush him back, but hey, we are in the second half of this AAC season. It's certainly up for grabs. Any number of teams could win this regular season.
Yeah, the one thing about a finger and a blister like that is that if you do go further with it, I mean, you can just push yourself even further back in that timeline. And so I think just giving it the time that it needs to where, he is good to go for those last few series in the conference tournament. I think that's probably most important. So, I wouldn't rush it back. Maybe it's something where he can, work his way back a couple extra days on a Sunday or whatever it happens to be. But with a finger like that, and I think it's on the middle finger on the inside part. So what you're looking at is when the ball comes off, that's where it's coming off of every pitch. And so that's why we saw when this first happened, his breaking ball was working better because he's getting around it and it's not coming off the inside part of that finger. And so what happened was he's losing touch on his fastball. And if his fastball is not working for him, then he's not as good because that 97-mile-an-hour fastball is his bread and butter.
In that same conversation, Coach Lovelady shared with Trace that Hunter Patterson will be out for the year, expected to have surgery here in the next 10 to 12 days. 2 questions for you. How big a loss is that? And then B, who needs to step up? I know you said earlier that if the arms can throw, they should throw this weekend. Who do you expect to maybe step up and take, some of the innings that Hunter's not going to be able to complete this year?
Yeah, it's a huge loss. Hunter Patterson is one of the better weekend starters in the conference. He at times he was one of the best, period, in the country. He showed a lot of high-end capability in that rotation, and it's a tough loss. He's going to come back better, stronger from it, but it's a terrible loss. But also, who needs to step up? You saw Rudy Gomez really he really hit his stride this past weekend. He's only come in here and there, but I've witnessed him as a starter before. I actually recruited him out of high school to play for me at St. Leo University. And so I've known Rudy since he was a high schooler, and he's a very capable young arm that can handle 2, 3, 4 innings to kind of fill that gap for these guys. And he did that this past weekend, did a really good job, but also a Chase Santala. I mean, I know they wanted to use him on the back end, but he might be one of those guys that's got to eat up 2, 3, 4 innings in the middle of the game at some point. So those 2 guys showed this past weekend that they could really help out. And those are 2 guys that have some experience that I think they're going to have to lean on moving forward.
It's going to be a fun weekend out at the John this week. Everybody knows Citronet Saturdays. Sundays, bring your dog to the park. But tomorrow night is wrestling night. What does that mean? Does that mean you and Daniels are going to go at it Greco-Roman style in the booth or what?
No. Mark and I we're on the same side. If anything, we're tag team partners in this. I'm not really sure what you're going to see. You never know with Coach Lovelady. Love will get out there. He's a huge wrestling fan. Him and Ted Tom, both, the assistant coach, are huge wrestling fans. They talk about wrestling all the time, and I'm sitting there like, what do you guys like? What are you, 12? Like, what are we watching here? And they're huge fans. I get it. Like, it's a big performance thing. So this is going to be – you're going to see Love in the dugout just licking his chops and with a big smile on his face. This is going to be a huge night for him. I don't know what they got planned, but I'm sure it'll be great. Everything they've done so far has been really good.
What's your walk-up song?
Oh, man. Right now, or what was it?
And what would it be if you trotted out there on Friday night?
Oh, gosh. So it used to be I did the instrumentals. I did a Tupac instrumental. Ambitions as a Rider was the instrumental, was my walkout song. I'd probably do that again right now. And so it put fear into a few people just hearing that. That was my thing. I liked it. So
you mentioned Coach in anticipation of wrestling night. After we got done recording, we started talking a little bit about Alex Freeland, and he anticipates that he's going to see Alex back. The injury was a hamate bone injury in his left hand, and he said that actually heals pretty quickly. So you might see him in a couple of weeks, certainly before conference tournament time.
I hope so. I mean, he's proven to be one of the better players in this conference. He's a very, very talented player. I've said it from Jump Street. He might be the best talent to ever come through this program. Yes, it's a hamate bone. He actually broke his right one during the summer and had surgery. I think it was the summer or the fall. And he recovered just fine from that. And now he's got this one. I'll tell you what, if he's got a chance to play, he's going to play. I mean, he's been playing with this thing broken for probably since the beginning of the season, to be honest. So he's a tough kid. He's as tough as they come. And so if he's got a chance to play, he's going to play. He didn't want to sit out. You know, it kind of got to the point where the pain threshold, I mean, it was almost every swing it hurt. There was times where you'd be watching the game and you would notice like, oh man, that one hurt. But he'd been dealing with it all year. And you know what? It was one of those deals where this kid, he wanted to play. And I hope to see him back out there. He's a good friend of mine at this point. I love him like family. So I hope he's back out there.
All right, Steven, I need you to be an arbiter for us here. As we're talking, the NFL draft is going on. You're a former athlete. You understand what it means to compete and to go to the next level. Mike thinks anybody watching the draft is a nerd. What are your thoughts? You're the official ruler here. People watching the NFL draft, nerd or just a really good sports fan?
I think you're a sports fan. I mean, I think when it comes down to this, I think it's exciting. I think it's something that I think it's great for these kids because this is a huge step for them. This is life-changing for them. I think Mike might be the nerd in this situation.
Whoa, hello.
Hey.
All right, there we go.
Finally.
Hey, it doesn't mean I don't love you still. I'm just saying. I think it's exciting because there's no exact science to this, but no matter what, to see the smile on these kids' faces with the amount of work that they've put in, and they deserve this. They deserve this shine. Especially, I mean, it's different now because they're able to get with the NIL stuff. They're able to get some of their name out there and kind of start their business and whatnot. But this before was the only time that these kids this was the first time that they got to put themselves out there and really got to start making money. And so it was great to see the reward that they get for all the work that they put in.
I know you told us you don't have a favorite MLB team because you root for players, but so you can't get off the hook with this one. Who's your NFL team, and are you glued in to see who they pick tonight?
No, see, it's the same. It's because I'm me and Gabriel Davis are good friends, so I root for the Bills.
Wow, okay,
because Gabe's my guy. I mean, so that's the thing is. So in the off season, I've worked with Gabe, I've worked with Kenny Gainwell, I've worked with a few of these guys to where, you know, those are my guys that I go watch now. I make sure they're on my fantasy teams, whether they're playing or not. Like those are my guys. You know, I'm just a loyal guy when it comes down to it. That's why you guys see me every week. I'm a loyal guy, you know. So I just got to stick true to my guys. If you guys were on a football team or you guys had a team, I'd stick with you too. So.
Got to get Gabe on the show now. That's your new job. And by the way, fantasy team on top of draft guy, double nerd.
Hey, I wear glasses and everything, but guess what? I'm good. I'll be exactly who I am. I got no problem being me. I'll tell you what. I've never asked Gabe for anything before in my life, so I can throw it out there, but I could say, hey, there's this podcast and see what he says.
That's a no, Mike.
I can find out if Mike will be off that week, and then maybe we'll get you on the show then.
If Mike is off, I guarantee I can get him on. But if not, I don't know. It's up in the air. It's just Mike, I'm sorry. I'm laying into you tonight. That's my fault. It's all out of love. I promise. It means I like you.
Doesn't matter. I love it. I love it.
Well, catch Steven and Mark Daniels in the ring, wrestling night, and all weekend on ESPN Plus. Steven, see you out at the ballpark this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Steven.
All right, good deal. All right, going around the kingdom before we open that mailbag. You know, they said the future of college football was in Orlando. They didn't say the future of college basketball was. Isaiah Adams entered that portal. He's now with Buffalo. He traded Orlando for Buffalo. That's where he announced that he is going. Wish him all the best. Couple of guys come in this week, Michael Durr and Brandon Suggs. So UCF starting to fill out that roster of players from other teams in the AAC.
Michael Durr, though, 7-footer, he played for the Cows. I'm going to have to get over that.
That's hard to get over.
It is. And it's even harder to get over his last year at Indiana, where he averaged, let me look this up so I can get it correct, 1.5 points a game and 1.1 rebounds a game.
Well, UCF wins or loses with defense, so they never boast that it's going to be a big offensive show. Still in the portal, Dre Fuller Jr., Tony Johnson Jr., Xavier Rhodes, and Jamil Reynolds, who put out on his social media today that he's narrowed it down between South Carolina and Temple. So maybe he will be trading AAC schools in the future. Mike Knight's announcing that they're going to be participating in the Orange Bowl Classic, circled December 17th on your calendar. No team announced to play the Knights. However, FSU's there against St. John's in a doubleheader that day. And a good luck to women's golf. 5th seed in the NCAA tournament, Ann Arbor, Michigan, May 9th through 11th. 8 times in 11 years in the NCAA tournament. So that is a consistent winning program at UCF. Mailbag time. We got any walk-in talks this week? We got an intersection walk and or drive
Inquiry.
talk or whatever.
Intersection inquiry. Our first
From
ever
Mike at XQXQIZI_UCF. A lot of X's and Q's and things from Mike.
Fair enough.
All right, coming to a stop here. Time for my intersection inquiry. Field goal kicking. Do we need to worry about it? Has it improved? Or are we going to see a lot more going forward on 4th down?
I think all of those things can be true. I think we could have improvement. I'll still worry about it. And I'm not sure Daniel Obarski has not lost the job. I don't know that he's lost the job yet. Colton Boomer's got to take it away from him.
One, I just think it's great that Mike recorded that on his engine. And two, always worry about field goal kicking. I don't care who you are. Always worry about field goal kicking. It is a crapshoot sometimes. Even the best kickers can flub one here and there. Never feel good about a field goal kick.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't notice it unless it's bad. You know, when the guy's just nailing every extra point and he's hitting the easy field goals, you don't even think about it. But when the guy's is kicking it out of bounds every time we're kicking off and he's missing all the field goals, then you start to worry. I think it's going to improve. I think he got better last year. I expect him to take another step up this year.
Gianna was nervous about doing a walk and talk just a couple of weeks ago. Back for a second. What she got for us?
Hey, Sons of UCF. I'm out here walking to the Nicholson Fieldhouse for alumni yoga night, passing the bounce house. My question is, with the NFL draft starting, what NFL teams would you like some of our players to go to? As always, go Knights and charge on.
Well, Mike, the answer's got to be Giants, right? You need more Giants.
That's right. Hey, we just picked up a couple of weeks ago. So anytime there's a UCF guy on the Giants, I'm happy about it. Give me Kalia Davison.
Yeah, every year just book one thing. There will be a UCF player signed to the practice squad, the training camp squad. Somebody will be a Jacksonville Jaguar. Every year, set your watch to it. There's always somebody, Storm Johnson, Blake Bortles, Michael Klubiali, Dredricks Nelson. The list goes. There's always somebody. Nate Evans, I think, was a Jaguar for a while. Matt Wright's obviously there now. Yeah. So just set your watch to it. Just one of these guys will be in Jacksonville.
Your Cowboys still have Tristan Hill, right?
Probably.
This was a late one I added to the list from all with a lot of L's night. If Mike and Adam did a call for football, basketball, who would do the play-by-play? Who would do the color and why?
I think Adam's clearly play-by-play. He's a lot more polished than me. I'm just there to add in a little jab here and there. I couldn't carry a whole broadcast. There's no way.
Yeah, I would only be. I think I can maybe fake football. Basketball is way too fast. Hockey, I don't have a shot. Maybe tennis, Mike. Want to call some tennis?
I've watched as much tennis as I have women's basketball and golf and all these other sports that I've never watched before. So, no, I can't do tennis.
Okay. Speaking of women's basketball, the new head coach, Messer, announced a few weeks ago, has not named an assistant coach yet. Does that not strike you as a bit odd?
I mean, named doesn't mean she doesn't have them.
I guess.
But
you just would think that there'd be a rollout of coaches here. Coach Apes announced all hers.
Easy move there. You would think that you'd want to drum up some positive momentum. Obviously, a lot of players have left the team. It's a bit of an influx. You'd think you'd want to, at least show the move forward. My only thinking is they're trying to make maybe one big splash and announce everybody all at the same time or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but it is curious. We haven't heard much about portal entries from on our side, at least.
None.
We haven't heard from coaches, so. Yeah.
Been quiet. Did a
Wheels
press
coming off.
conference and haven't seen much of her since. At the CMAZ 14, wants to know, Mike, from you, what questions do you have for the Charge On Tour? You might not be able to certainly make all of the stops. You threw out that Boca stop. You don't like the time, the date, the location, all of that. But he might go to the Tampa stop. What do you want him to ask? What's that burning UCF Mike question of Timo or Gus?
No, it's the Fort Lauderdale stop. It's a perfect location. It's just not.
Fort
It's a bad day for me. Bad day, bad time. He's got to ask the hard-hitting questions. He's got to ask Timo, when are we going to get a name on the stadium? You know, when are we going to start construction on these new things we're building here now that we're moving into the Big 12? You got to ask Gus who's the quarterback's going to be. I mean, let's get down the brass tacks here and get some real answers.
Yeah, Gus is really going to answer that question.
Here's the beauty of Mike, though. Mike would hit him with Timo when are we getting a naming sponsor? Hey, what's the plan for stadium expansion and boxers or briefs? That would be Mike's 3-question series if you had a chance to talk to Timo.
That's right. And I pretty much did that last year. And if you remember, go back to my interview I did with Malzahn last year. He said, hey, you're asking a lot of real interesting questions here for the first time. He was not ready for my
You also did air quotes around the word interesting during the interview. You know, you have to get to this stop because they recognize you. I mean, Gus will be, oh, that guy's back again?
Yeah.
Where are your medals from your races? Where are your 5K medals as you enter?
Right here.
Set that one up. At UCF, Timo stated in a recent interview a deal with the AAC needed to be reached by May. With May just days away, will the 3 schools announce an early exit? Seems like we got a little bit of hubbub about that. I think what's interesting is what's the dollar value going to be attached to this? What UConn's buyout was $17 million to get out with really just a basketball program to their name. What are they going to bill UCF? Houston,
and they paid 17 with less notice per se, right? So UCF, at least the Americans had more time to recognize UCF Houston since now you're leaving. So I think 17 is probably that high watermark. You know, my thinking would be it's a little bit south of that, but at this point, it's really just about where the commas go and how many zeros are involved.
You got to factor in inflation too. The last couple of years, your dollar doesn't get you as far as it used to. It may be around 20 million, but still less than that 45 that Oresco was hoping for.
Oresco. At UCF Realist, I don't know. I didn't look this one up. Mike, you do all the research around here. What's the signing deadline for football players transferring to UCF to be eligible this fall?
I don't know if there is a deadline. If you remember, Mike Hughes signed or got on campus, 2 days before fall camp started. So I'm not sure of the exact answer. People can transfer even once the season starts. I think as long as you can get that waiver and get eligible, I don't know if there's a deadline.
I think the deadline is you have to be enrolled, in the school, right? So whenever the
school calendar is.
Yeah, whenever the school's calendar allows for enrollment to end, I think as long as you're in before, I guess it's that ad drop period, right, is when you can probably get into class. So whenever that ad drop date is for UCF is probably the deadline for that.
At Lonely Bee UCF, assuming you still had your college income, how many Publix gift certificates would it take for you to transfer to the Cal College over in Tampa? They're not nearly enough. Not enough.
My college income was zero, so I don't know, man. You throw enough money at me, anything's possible, I guess.
Oh,
we have time here. Here's a true story. So I was over in the west side of town this weekend for a soccer tournament, and we had a ridiculous amount of time in between game 1 and game 2 because why would we not, right? And as a family, we had nothing to do. We were far away from our hotel, and so my wife and my daughter want to go see some model houses that were built just to walk through and just like look at them luxuriously. So begrudgingly, I go to these houses and we go into one of the bedrooms, and it's if you've been to a model home, they decorate it all up with themes. We go to a bedroom, all cow stuff everywhere, everywhere, pictures, pillows, everything. So you know what I did? Systematically went around and turned them all upside down, my friends. So if you're in the greater Wesley Chapel area and you happen to hit a couple of model houses and all horns are down, you're welcome very much.
Well, they do that themselves nowadays. They put out the picture of the basketball player with the horns down. They do all our work for us.
They really do. Their social media. At Black Gold _ ad, the opening of the Cows, IFP or IPF. What is it? Indoor IPF is fast approaching. Should UCF's Twitter mafia troll them when it opens or let them have their childish fun? It does look like it's going to be a nice facility, though, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, why even bother, I guess? I mean, hey, congratulations. 19 years later, you did something we already did, so way to go. I don't even – is that a troll, I guess? I wouldn't even bat an eye.
Seems a little trollish. It didn't seem congratulatory.
Yeah, it really didn't. I feel bad.
At Ryan K and a lot of numbers, 430-35841. Try that, maybe the phone number. Even though Malachi Singleton didn't pick UCF, does this still support UCF's case for being a premium destination for its launch into the P5 status? Yes, but you can see this NIL money and these collectives and all of that certainly making things challenging for the UCFs of the world. But I don't think it's changed. The UCF remains a premier destination.
Yeah, we're down in the final two, I guess, between Arkansas and UCF. Obviously, the bag was bigger in Walmart country. By the way, Trace, your commitment to saying every single solitary syllable of everyone's Twitter handles is remarkable.
Try to give him a shout out. At Mary Ashbaugh 6, with two questions, Mary. Do you think we'll still be hitting the portal for more football players? Yes. More linebackers, perhaps. Do we have room? We do. And we have 2 quarterback commits in less than 2 weeks. Thoughts on that? Can never have enough of those either.
That's right. And we have both guys that played in that state championship game that I went to here in Fort Lauderdale, the kid from Cocoa and now the kid from Cardinal Gibbons. You can't go wrong with either of them. I think they're both nice players. So the more quarterbacks, like Trace just said, the better.
At Zeebles, UCF, talking about we lost a linebacker to the portal. Of course, we got a new one. He's asking, is someone on the coaching staff allergic to linebackers? Or is this position group upset that none of them have been asked to be sponsored players for the Sons of UCF? Where are we at on that NIL arrangement with players?
We're making moves. We've had a couple of high-level meetings amongst the crew here, and we've got some plans. I would have sponsored these guys, but they were all gone before I had a chance to, so I didn't have an opportunity to. And as someone allergic to linebackers is interesting because I think you hit on the head earlier, Trace, which is it simply that these guys are being told the truth about where they stand and they're just saying, okay, well then I don't want to, I'm going to leave and go someplace else. So part of me wonders the dynamic there, because as we all probably know, T. Will is technically the linebackers coach. So it'd be curious to see what that dynamic looks like.
And I think it also, especially we see with this NFL draft over the next couple of days, what we already knew, right? That the talent level had dipped under Josh Heupel's tenure at UCF. So you're not going to see as many players, if any, picked in the NFL draft. And now you see perhaps some guys maybe not ready to move forward with the Knights. At Armored_up, do you think we can start a tradition of player chants? This one directed to you, Mike. He's suggesting he's here, he's there, he's every effing where. Plumlee. Can you work with that?
I love it. I love it. And, I tried to get this going during the Gasparilla Bowl with Isaiah Bowser. I kept singing, there's only one Isaiah Bowser. And it was maybe cut out with a couple of guys there in the fourth quarter. So I love doing the chants. I think the soccer stadium atmosphere, it'd be pretty cool at the Bounce House.
We missed you last week with that rendition when we had Isaiah Bowser off the top of the show. I'm sure he would have appreciated that. At UCF Guy 23, so Elon Musk maybe possibly taking over Twitter, many Knights fans, some at least leaving, breaking up with the UCF Twitter mafia, threatening to at least. Do we become the Insta mafia? Do we switch over to Instagram? I don't think it's quite the same. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, yell at people whoever you want to yell at them, whatever medium you need to yell at. Instagram isn't like that, though. I don't know that you can get the same amount of vitriol on somebody's story. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know how you're really messing that up. I feel like if Twitter folds or Elon Musk takes it to parts unknown, maybe we all go back to Facebook or MySpace comes back to life. I don't think Instagram allows for the fire emojis to be shared as much.
And Mike,
TikTok.
You sort of started the TikTok. Well, who we got to give advice to is Jonathan on that.
Jonathan Adams, yeah.
Mike, you may have started a little bit of a challenge for us. Another one from All Night with all the L's. Typical podcast listener, don't want to miss the mailbag tweet, so he direct messaged me this. It's really directed to you because you brought it up on the show. Since there are 12 alleged open positions on the Suns payroll, is there any chance you're all looking to hire a fellow UCF grad? He says he can send over resume, cover letter, walk and talk, whatever he needs to apply. And I'm like, I think maybe Mike overpromised based on his knowledge of the budget here.
And we got to talk to our friends over at Gordon and Partners and find out exactly what this budget is. But hey, if somebody else wants to be a son, somebody wants to be adopted, you never know. That's how Trace got on board, right? He wasn't always here, but here he is. And now he's one of the sons.
Can we hire someone to stop that beeping in the background?
The beeping is I'm having a problem with my home alarm system that I cannot fix. So we got a beeping problem at 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. And Well, it
Seems
wasn't 9
exhausting.
p.m. until tonight. So it's now 9 p.m. It was just 8 a.m. I was on the phone with them this morning. Not corrected, as I'm now learning. But I'm glad
we
you
can
pointed
all
it out.
attest.
I
We can all
appreciate that.
attest. No, I figured the only position I have available right now is audio engineer in Mike's house to help him with the AirPods. If he gets a spam call, just someone to be there to quickly hit the buttons for him. I don't know what the pay is. I'm offering season tickets to the Llamacorns, Mike. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, you know what happened to me early during the Jada Cody interview? You know what happened again when I cut off? The chipmunks were back. I cut off, and you guys all sounded like chipmunks again. I got off. Sounds good enough. So that's good.
Adam, you disappeared. You tend to disappear for a little bit off the top of every show.
Right off the top every time. Yeah, just like your alarm. I disappear right off the top. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure it's the internet. Sometimes I'm just not sure if I want to do the show, I guess. Stage fright. I don't really know.
Well, we missed you on the pod this week. I threw off my driving around for work routine, not being able to hear you guys.
Yeah, humblest apologies. Real life work stuff.
Shame
got in
on
the way
you.
there.
Shame on you for
us.
letting personal and work-related things get in the way.
Yeah. And we'll be back at it. I think we've got a couple of guests lined up for the next couple of weeks. So, subscribe wherever you get your high-quality podcast and the low ones too. And you'll get our show every time it pops in your feed.
Any more draft picks to update us on?
There's a bunch. I wasn't really keeping too much track.
It's really kind of a boring draft. Who do you think ends up with Desmond Ritter?
Just this one?
Well, the Seahawks are up now. They were a team that was rumored to be interested. They're up at 9. So curious to see where that lands. Is he a first rounder?
I hope not.
I mean, I don't think he is.
Picked twice, huh?
The Giants picked twice, yeah.
All right, so I just got to see those two names. I could go to bed.
Kayvon Thibodeau and some guy with the last name of Neal. I think he played some sort of a line position.
No idea. All right, cool.
No idea. Well, don't want to keep you up, Mike. We appreciate you hanging out with us this week for the Sons of UCF Live. Jonathan Adams, live from Las Vegas. Jada Cody, wishing her well in her quest for the RBI lead for UCF softball. Final weekend for them. Congrats to the seniors on Senior Day this Sunday. And, of course, to Stephen Branca, who will try and figure out the nut, the bolt, the screw situation with Coach Lovelady. Or if I get a chance to schedule it next week, I'll inquire. And, Adam, you mentioned if you want him to have one of these lovely Yetis on his desk for product placement, you just need to get me one.
Yeah, can we get a swap out there? I mean, the Rogers Construction Company got prime real estate during that. I mean, a quick sleight of hand trace. I think you could have put that right in. No one would have known.
Oh, so don't give him a cup. Just bring mine. Set it on his desk. Then take it when I leave.
Ask yourself this. What would Mike do? Whatever Mike would do, that's what you want to do, Trace.
Let him wear one of our hats, too, and take that back after he's done.
There are 37 promised hats out there. People checking their mailboxes daily, still haven't gotten them.
Does he ever leave the office quickly before you guys roll? Maybe he's got to, use the restroom or something.
No.
Because I think you start getting flyers up everywhere, a hat someplace. I think you just see if he notices, because there's obviously a lot going on there. He might not notice for several weeks or months that there's a Sons of UCF placard up behind him.
Okay, I can work on that. If you give me something, I will bring it to him. I mean, I guess I can give him my hand. Okay, guys, the Seahawks are on the clock. Thank you for joining us as we went head-to-head with the first round of the NFL Draft. We will catch you next week, same time, same stream, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. My beeping continues. I'm out. Trace Strelko, go Knights!
Draft
alarm already.
I got to work on it.